What if I told you that holding on to your pain isn't protecting you? It's actually slowly killing you. I mean, you think that you're guarding yourself from harm, but what if you're just weighing yourself down? Today, I'm going to show you how to let go of that weight and that burden step by step to reclaim your life. So stay with me. This will change everything. Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, there were two brothers, Benjamin and Joshua. They spent their days exploring the woods and fields near their home. Both of them loved collecting rocks and stones, marveling at their shapes and colors. But while their interest seemed the same, the way they handled their stones and their lives couldn't have been more different. Benjamin was the elder brother, and he saw every rock and stone as special. Whenever he found one, he would carefully tuck it into his backpack to hold onto it. The stones to him weren't just objects. They represented his experiences. There was the stone he picked up the day his best friend laughed at him for failing a test. That day, he decided the rock would remind him to never trust anyone fully again. Another rock was from when he tried to show his father a drawing he drew, only to be dismissed. "You're too sensitive," his father had said. That rock felt much heavier than the others, and it made him feel unworthy and unseen, yet he still put it in his backpack. Day after day, Benjamin's backpack grew heavier, yet he couldn't bring himself to let any of the stones go. "These are my reminders," he told himself. "They protect me from getting hurt again." But as the years went by, his once carefree steps slowed. His shoulders sagged under the weight, and his view of the world darkened. The beauty he once saw in the stones was replaced by bitterness and pain. Why? Why do I feel so tired all the time? Benjamin would wonder. But he never thought to look inside his own backpack. Joshua, the younger brother, also picked up stones, but he had a different approach. One day, when a friend insulted him, he found a jagged rock that caught his eye. At first, he was tempted to keep it. "This rock will remind me to never let anyone hurt me again," he thought. But as he turned it over in his hands, he began to notice its beauty, the way the sunlight glinted on its edges. What if, Joshua wondered, this rock isn't meant to weigh me down, but to teach me something? He sat with it for a moment, reflecting on what had happened. He realized that his friend's words weren't really about him. They were about his friend's own struggles. With that insight, Joshua placed the rock gently on the ground and walked away, feeling lighter. For every challenging moment in Joshua's life, he picked up another rock, learned what he could from it, and then he let it go. Over time, instead of carrying a heavy backpack, Joshua began using the rocks to pave a pathway, a glowing trail of lessons that guided him toward peace and freedom. One day, the two brothers met by the edge of the river. Benjamin, now hunched under the weight of his backpack, watched as Joshua skipped a smooth stone across the water. "How can you waste such perfect rocks?" Benjamin asked, his voice tinged with frustration. Joshua smiled gently. "I'm not wasting them, Benjamin. I'm letting them go. Each stone taught me something, but once I learned, I didn't need to keep holding on anymore." Benjamin looked at his brother, his eyes filled with exhaustion and sadness. "But these rocks, They're who I am. If I let them go, what will I have left? You'll have yourself, Joshua said softly, the real you, not the weight of what happened to you, but the strength of what you've become. Here, let me show you. Joshua helped Benjamin take off his backpack, and for the first time, Benjamin looked inside. He saw rocks of all shapes and sizes, each one tied to a memory, a hurt, a fear. And slowly, with Joshua's guidance, Benjamin began to take out the stones one by one, reflecting on what each had taught him. As he let the rocks go, Benjamin felt something he hadn't felt in years. He felt lightness. From that day forward, Benjamin and Joshua walked together on a new path that was paved with the stones they had once carried, glowing softly in the sunlight. And as they walked, Benjamin learned that letting go didn't mean forgetting. It meant finding freedom. And the stones, they were no longer weights to bear. They became the foundation for a brighter, lighter journey ahead. What stones are you carrying in your backpack? Have you ever felt like the weight of your problems is too much to bear? How are you handling your stones, your life experiences? How often do you think to yourself thoughts like, I'm so tired of this. I can't take it anymore. I'm so sick of this. It's too much. It's too heavy. I'm drained. I feel like I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. I felt that one. How much heavier does the load of stress you carry feel when you focus on these lower energy phrases? Has this become your identity? Have you ever thought that the words you are saying and these rocks you've been carrying could actually be making you sick? They could actually be killing you? Now that might sound extreme, but it's true. Listen up. Studies have shown that holding on to past pain or harboring anger and resentment towards someone can lead to increased stress, negative emotions, higher anxiety, and even physical sickness and dis-ease. In the Adverse Childhood Experience Study, also known as ACEs, conducted by the Center for Disease Control and Kaiser Permanente in 1996, they took data from 17,000 participants. They found that childhood trauma and their experiences are major risk factors as well as the leading causes of illness and death in the United States. Let me repeat that. Childhood trauma experiences are the leading causes of illness and death in the United States. The study found that the more traumatic experiences people had as children, the more health problems they had as adults, including depression, homelessness, cancer, and even suicide. These experiences ranged from physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, physical or emotional neglect, witnessing domestic violence, poverty, separation from loved ones, living with a family member with a mental or substance disorder, racism, discrimination, witnessing violence. Those are some heavy stones to hold on to from such an early age. And most people don't really know how to heal from those because it's just too heavy to deal with. But what if the pain that you've been holding on to is making you sick or even killing you? The Buddha taught that holding on to anger and pain is like drinking poison, hoping it will hurt somebody else. But that poison, it's only destroying you. So, how do you let go of this pain? How do you unload that backpack full of trauma and painful moments. Here's a clue. You use the F word a lot. And I'm not talking about that F word. I mean, you may have said that word a lot while carrying such a heavy load. But I'm talking about a different F word that will help you put that heavy backpack down and let go of the pain. The F word can save your life. That word is forgiveness. And I know, you're probably thinking, but forgiveness is hard, right? Hear me out. It's only hard until it's not. Like anything, it takes practice. Think about learning how to walk. You had to learn to stand first and gain balance before you could take that first step. So I'm going to help you learn how to take that first step. But first, I'm going to help you learn how to stand. I'm going to tell you the truth about forgiveness, and it may not be what you think. Forgiveness isn't about letting others off the hook. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. It doesn't erase the past. It's not about forgetting or even making peace or reconciling with the person who hurt you. Forgiveness is about setting a prisoner free and realizing that you were the prisoner. It's about choosing freedom over pain. It's saying to yourself, I refuse to let what happened define me anymore. It's stepping into your power. You see, forgiveness, it's not a weakness. In fact, it's a superpower, one of the greatest ones ever. And it can save your life and the quality of it. The real truth about forgiveness is that it's a gift, but it isn't a gift that you give to anyone else. It's a gift you give to yourself. Imagine how good it will feel, how light it will feel, letting go of the pain that you've been carrying around with you for so long. Finally feeling free and light. I mean, freedom from emotional baggage. That sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Studies show that forgiveness and letting go can lead to improved mental health, reduced stress and anxiety, better relationships, lower blood pressure, a stronger immune system, and an overall sense of well-being. Releasing the burden of holding on positively impacts both emotional and physical health. Can you imagine feeling better? But until you forgive, it can feel so heavy. Has there ever been anything or anyone that you've struggled to forgive? How has holding on to that impacted your life? It's okay. You haven't been ready to forgive them yet. But maybe this will help you take that first step to lightening the heavy load that you carry. So, how do you forgive someone for the hurt they caused you, that you've carried with you your whole life? What if what they did was unforgivable? That's a big word, isn't it? That's a heavy word. It's one I've used. Very, very heavy stone. But what if that person or memory, that stone, is actually the key to your peace and happiness? That pain inside, that trigger, it's all there to remind you that there's healing to do inside of you. And it's pointing right at the pain that hurts the most, this unresolved pain. What if it feels like way too much? How do you even begin to lighten such a heavy load of years worth of pain? Well, you didn't start out with a backpack full of stones. It started out with one, but then another and another and another were added. So I'm going to teach you in just a few steps to deal with one stone, one memory at a time. Are you ready? Feel free to grab a notebook and write some of this down so you can come back to it again and again. Step 1, acknowledge the weight. Accept what you're holding on to. You've been holding on to it for so long. Stop pushing it down further inside of you and accept that it's there. You may be wondering how to do this. Well, first, imagine that you're taking your heavy, invisible backpack off of your back and placing it on the ground in front of you. Reach inside and take out one stone and hold it in your hands and feel it. Let me show you. Here's a stone. This one's a pretty stone, but it's got jagged edges. I've got memories with this stone. It's hard to let go. So feel it. What is it that you feel in this stone? Recognize what emotion or feeling that you've been holding on to in this stone, in this memory. Name it. Write it down. Say it out loud. What emotions or feelings have you felt surrounding this one rock, this one memory? Say it. Say, I feel angry. I feel frustrated. I feel sad. I feel hurt. I feel disgusted. I feel embarrassed. I feel depressed. I feel unseen. I feel unheard. I feel unloved. I feel unappreciated. I feel wronged. I feel alone. I feel betrayed. I feel abandoned. Whatever it is that you have felt, honor it by saying that you feel it. And continue saying all of the emotions that you've been holding on to until you can't think of any more to say. And then take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. How does that feel? Does that feel any lighter? Did you know that your emotions are really just teachers waiting and waiting until you're finally ready to listen to what they've been trying to tell you? Which brings us to number 2. Step number 2. Shift your perspective. Reframe the problem. Look at the rock in your hands, and rather than thinking of it as a problem, think of it as a project or a process. Think of it as an opportunity to learn and grow, rather than a burden. What could you learn, or what did you learn from this experience? What have these emotions been trying to teach you? How has it made you stronger? How have you grown from it? In what ways has it made you a better person? How has it changed your life for the better? Think about it. And feel free to pause this video if you need time to write down these things or to ask yourself these questions and really be open to the answers that come up within you. Now, shifting your perspective once again, this time, go back into the experience itself and look at it from the eyes of another, a different perspective than your own. Imagine you were the other person involved, or if that doesn't feel right, imagine you were a third person in the room. When all of this was happening, when this experience took place, you were just observing what was going on. There was no emotional attachment. What might you recognize or notice now that you see it from a new perspective? What might have that other person been going through in life when this happened to you? Could they have been hurting inside too? Did they have childhood trauma? Hurt people. And what might have happened in their life that brought them to this moment? What rocks have they been holding on to in their invisible backpacks that's been weighing them down? They get heavy when you hold on to so many, don't they? Which brings us to the next step. Step 3, show compassion. Take a deep breath in for this one. Take a deep breath in and breathe in compassion and understanding. Compassion for others, knowing that there might be something hurting inside of them. Understanding that it doesn't mean that what they did was okay. It just means that you understand that they didn't show up as their best self in that moment. And here's an important one. Have compassion for yourself, for everything you've been through, for not knowing how to deal with it, for not knowing how to let go sooner, for the pain that you may have caused others to feel too because of the hurt you've been holding on to. Have compassion for dealing with the pain in the only way you knew how until now. Step 4, release the pain. Imagine that you're still holding on to this stone in your hands. And as you look at it, you now see the lessons that you've learned from this experience. And from this stone, you take another deep breath in and breathe in the understanding. There is a beautiful Hawaiian practice on forgiveness called ho'oponoponopo. It brings light to an understanding that there is unity in everything in the world and reminds us that we are all connected. And it uses some phrases to practice letting go. And the more you use these phrases, the easier letting go becomes. There are different ways in which you can say these phrases, and this is the way I have found to work best for me. I imagine the other person in front of me, or I touch a picture of them with my fingers, or I imagine the stone I'm holding on to, and I say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. I always start and end with love because for me, it makes it feel deeper. But you can use any order of the phrases that speak to you. Now look at the stone that you're holding once again, and the memory, and the lesson, and imagine yourself saying these phrases to this other person. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. Step 5, visualize letting it go. Gently imagine yourself bending down to the ground and placing the stone there where it will become a part of your journey, one that you've learned from, one that you can let go of, but also a part that is building a stronger foundation and a pathway to peace. Step 6, continue to build that path of peace with more and more of these moments with these stones, with each lesson and stone that you have, paving your future just like Joshua did in the story. Remember, pick one rock, one stone to practice letting go. And when you're ready, ask yourself how life has felt lighter for you after practicing this forgiveness. I'd love to read about your pathway to peace. I'd love to read about the progress that you feel. Please leave the comments below and how it's helped you. You are not your pain. You are resilience. You are your power, and you hold the key to your freedom. Remember, we can live a life of peace by letting go of the weight. We can save our life by letting go of the weight we carry. And remember, forgiveness isn't a weakness. It's a superpower. It will save your life and the quality you live. If this spoke to you, please share this video with someone you love or someone who might need to hear it. Together, let's heal this world. One heart, one soul, one stone in memory at a time. Peace.